Hack's about 50%.
Say that on TV, coach. I got you. You're not on TV. We're on Police Report. It's different. Come on.
Nobody's watching. Nobody cares. Nobody's listening.
Hey, so real talk, people that run the Alliance of American Football, if you need a guy that can like hit a button to like turn on and off people's, microphones when they're not supposed to be on camera or they're not supposed to be talking at that moment, I'm your guy. I'm super available. All you gotta do is pay me in sandwiches. I can do it for free. I got you. But all jokes aside, this is week 3 of the Alliance of American Football. Let's hit the recap. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mike Floyd with the Turf Toe Show, bringing you a week 3 recap of the Alliance of American Football. We had 3 teams trying to go undefeated again. Only 2 managed to do it this time. One fell to an 0-2 team at the time, but it was actually a pretty good game. So let's start with that one. So the first game on the docket was the Arizona Hotshots at the Salt Lake Stallions. The Arizona Hotshots coming to this game were 2-0. Salt Lake Stallions, on the other hand, were 0-2. I've said in multiple different videos, and other commentators also said the same thing, that the Salt Lake Stallions were the best team that hadn't won a game yet. And they proved it this time. They managed to get their quarterback back, Josh Woodrum. He came back from injury from the first game. He went off for 22 of 31, 178 yards, 1 TD, and 1 2-point conversion. They ended up winning this game 23-15. They pretty much slowed down that Arizona, the Hotshots offense. I mean, John Wolford went 14-22. He had 127 yards, 1 TD, and 1 interception. On that 1 interception, though, he actually got injured. He got blasted on the left side, his blind side. The left defensive tackle just came through and just hit him super hard, took him down. So Trevor Knight, the Arizona State, phenom, came in, went 8-17 and only 95 yards. But the Salt Lake Stallions showed when they finally get their stuff together, they're actually able to play really good ball. A couple of takeaways I have from this game is that Matt Asiata is still a non-factor for the Stallions. I don't think he played this game. Josh Bouganon, or however you say that man's last name, I cannot get that name right to save my life, went 12-45 and he had 1 TD. He's obviously the future back for this offense. Brendan Oliver also had 15 carries of 40 yards. He had 1 TD as well. But the defense for the Stallions actually came to play today. The Hotshots only scored 9 points in the first half and only scored 6 points in the second half. That was after old dude got hurt. But I mean, they didn't play bad. I mean, Nick Folk missed a pretty crucial, I wouldn't say crucial field goal, but he missed a field goal in the first quarter. It kind of went, I wouldn't say wide left, but nothing too crazy. All the scoring for the Arizona Hotshots was from Nick Folk pretty much. I mean, I think Wolford had 1 TD pass to Ross, who's playing out of his mind right now. He had 1 good TD, and that's about it. I mean, the Arizona, they show their weakness. They show once you get, it's pretty much showing that Wolford was their entire offense. Their defense played like their defense normally does. I always thought they weren't that good. They were just able to maintain and just let the offense go out there and just score. They kind of remind me of, they're like the AAF version of the Chiefs. Essentially, if the Chiefs lost Patrick Mahomes right now, they're SOL. I mean, we saw what they had with Alex Smith, and then their defense is just completely it's leaky at best. So without a quarterback who's pretty good, I mean, they're gonna have a hard time. So hopefully that man bounces back. But the Stallions are finally got to win a double on the board, and I think they're going to continue playing really well. So next week they play against Orlando. Orlando's coming into town, so Orlando's been showing some weaknesses here and there, but it should be a pretty good game. So speaking of Orlando, they played the Memphis Express at home. They ended up beating the Memphis Express 17-21. This game was actually a lot closer than it actually looked. I mean, it was a really good game. The big turning point of this game was when Christian Hackenberg was finally sat down, after the half. Mettenberger came in, he went 9-12 for 120 yards, 2 TDs, 2-point conversion. His first drive was a touchdown drive. It just goes to show that Hackenberg is not the answer. It's about time they replace him. He threw 2 interceptions. I think his first drive, I think even his first pass was an interception. Like, the dude he's not it. He went 8-14, 88 yards, 2 interceptions, and I think he almost had a third with let me check my notes real quick. Yeah, he almost had a third with like 57 seconds left in the second. The second interception he was running out to the right and he just throws it across his body back to the left, and just the defensive player was just sitting right there. It went right in his hand. So it was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, my guy. Hackenberg's not the answer. I'm glad they finally sat him down. Mettenberger came in, actually gave him a good game. Memphis had scored 0 points in the first half at all. Orlando scored 9 points straight up. I think their first drive was a touchdown drive. Then I want to say it was a field goal for their second score. They didn't score anything in the second quarter. Third quarter, Memphis started playing pretty good. I mean, they got on the board, and then Memphis scored 11 points in that fourth quarter. Orlando managed to score 6 to manage to keep the game, win the game. Memphis finally like, look, so Memphis has Zach Stacy. They also have Sherman Bade, who they actually signed this week for this game. He had 8 carries, 59 yards, along with 18. Like I said, you still got Zach Stacy with 14 carries, 29 yards. He didn't score any touchdowns, but you got a two-headed monster back there right now with Zach Stacy and Sherman Bade. If Mettenberger can actually go out there and actually complete passes, unlike Hackenberg, you have a offense. Your defense is legit. It managed to slow down the fastest going offense of the Orlando Apollos. The HBC, Steve Spurrier, had to change up his play call a little bit. You held him down to 6 points in the fourth quarter. You had a chance to win this. It was 21-17. Mettenberger should have been starting this game. I honestly, in my mind, think if Mettenberger would have been starting this game, they could have beat the Orlando Apollos this week. They absolutely could have. Garrett Gilbert did not have he had a decent game. He had 14-28, 27 yards, 1 TD. He didn't just show out like he did against Atlanta. I mean, he actually had a better game against the Commanders the week before that. But Memphis is all these little tiny tweaks. I don't know. Maybe somebody called down from the league office, was like, yo, Singletary, bench Hackenberg, put Mettenberger in there. Let's see what we have. Let's go. So now we had 2 games back to back where the quarterbacks had to be replaced. One due to injury, one quarterback just being trash. So Hackenberg, I'm glad he's benched. Never liked the guy. You can at me all you want. Dude is trash. Now the third game is a game that just boggles my mind. It was the Birmingham Iron playing against the Atlanta Legends. Birmingham Iron ended up winning 28-12. They ended up going 3-0. Also back to the Atlanta Apollos, they went 3-0. So in case you missed that, but Birmingham Iron went 3-0 against Atlanta Legends. Atlanta held Birmingham to 0 points in the first quarter. Atlanta also managed to get to the red zone 3 times. 3 times they managed to get to the red zone. The first drive they got down there, they were 4th and 1. Oh my bad, they probably were 4th and 1, but they were definitely 4th and goal. Instead of just taking the field goal and getting the points on the board, the head coach decided to go for it, and it just ends up incomplete, so turnover and downs. The second time they got down there, they ended up taking the field goal. They got Young Hoku managed to get the 21-yard field goal. It amazes me that they kept getting down to the red zone and just could not score. They scored 12 points this entire game, and they were in the red zone at least 7 times. At least 7 times, and they just kept getting pushed back. That Birmingham Iron defense is legit. It's like bend, but just don't break. Right now, I think I saw a stat pop up during the game that Young Hoku has the most points of that entire squad. They have more points than anybody that on his team. So Matt Sims, 28 for 48, 328 yards, 1 TD, 3 interceptions. 3 interceptions, my guy. Like, I don't know. He should have been replaced. I mean, you have Aaron Murray sitting on the bench right now. This should have been another game where they should have brought in somebody else just to see if they could get a spark out. That offense was not moving. Trent Richardson had a Trent Richardson type game. 17 carries, 46 yards, 3 TDs. He's just money on the goal line. If you're within 10 yards, he's going to score. He's just going to barrel straight down through there unless you get a linebacker that can drop some weight and move to safety and keep him from running straight up the middle, or something. He's just going to keep barreling on those dudes. Luis Perez, he had a crappy game, 17 of 31, 160 yards, 1 interception. They got the 2-point conversion. But all the Iron have shown you, they're literally like the way the Baltimore Ravens used to play back in the day. The defense is going to just dominate the entire game, and they're just going to run the ball. And they'll get some passes here and there. They're kind of like playing like Kyle Bowler did back in the 2000s. They'll get some passes off, they'll get some decent stuff, but it's their run game they're going to lean on. You got Trent Richardson and Ladarius Perkins out there. Perkins had 8 carries, 26 yards. Atlanta's got to do something, man. Atlanta, I keep coming back to you. You were in the red zone. You should have scored more than 12 freaking points. Atlanta finally got a touchdown with like 1 minute and 48 seconds left in the fourth quarter down to Crockett. But the Legends defense is good. That front 7 is amazing. Like, their defensive line is great. They were getting after Perez over and over again. They were stuffing Trent Richardson at the line, except for when they were on the goal line. But if your offense can't get any movement, it's just going to wear that defense out. Like, those guys were just sucking air. So I think that the coach for the Atlanta Legends is going to make a decision. He's going to have to either bench Sims and start Murray, or they're going to get a new offensive coordinator, because they were moving up. That's the crazy part. They were moving the ball. They were getting down there to the red zone. They just stupid mental mistakes. They had so many penalties. They kept pushing the ball back. False starts, just dumb stuff, holding, and they kept getting out of range. But I don't know. I would have put Murray in after the fourth quarter. You weren't getting any movement with Sims. And then Birmingham started running away with it. They scored 9 points in the second quarter, 11 points in the third, and 8 in the fourth. So once Birmingham started getting that ball moving, it was a wrap. So the last game of week 3 was a rematch of week 1, which the San Antonio Commanders playing the San Diego Fleet. The first matchup, San Diego Commanders won pretty well. I think the Fleet only had like 6 points. Well, this time the Fleet pretty much learned their lesson and actually watched game film, came out and just jumped all over the San Antonio Commanders, winning this game 31-11. There was like right in the beginning of the game, there was like a big time interception. I want to say Philip Nelson threw an interception like I don't know if it was the first or the second pass of the game. I think it was the first pass of the game. Ended up being an interception, and Nelson and Logan Woodside came back and threw a touchdown pass. But after that initial interception, it just went all downhill for San Antonio Commanders. Philip Nelson ended the game with 17-25, 193 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. Pretty decent game for him. The quarterbacks on the other side of the San Antonio Commanders, Logan Woodside had 12 of 23, 151 yards, 1 TD, 2 interceptions. Marquise Williams actually came in. He completed 4 for 4. He had 21 yards. He actually, I think, had more rushing yards than anything. He had 33 yards rushing on the ground. He's just he's a smaller version of Cam Newton, essentially. But that defensive secondary for the San Antonio Commanders got exposed once again. I said it in my video last week that the San Antonio Commanders secondary, the one they were calling Area 51, that nobody wants to be there. They were feeling themselves after playing the Fleet the first time. That right after Steve Spurrier, for the coach for the Orlando Apollos, exposed that secondary and knew that whenever their receivers are faster than their cornerbacks, everybody's going to do it. And Mike Martz, that's exactly what he did. He tried on the first play, but Phil Nelson overthrew his receiver. And that's the only reason why they got that interception. After that, they kept going to it, kept torching those guys. The Nelson to Nelson connection is legit. They scored a touchdown off of that, even though that was off the middle, but it was still the safety's fault, so he could have came over and helped out. That defense for the San Antonio Commanders is super suspect now. Like, I was bigging it up all off season, not off season, but preseason. Like, hey, they're gonna be legit. Well, they just got exposed. San Antonio scored 8 points in the first quarter. San Diego scored 6. Second, they didn't really score nothing. They scored a field goal in the third. San Diego just locked them down. San Diego's run game is legit. Jaquan Gardner had 12 carries, 122 yards. His longest was 83 yards, and that was a touchdown run. That 83 yards, as of right now, is the longest run, a touchdown run in AAF history. Even though it's only 3 weeks, it's still pretty impressive. The dude's like my height, like 5'6", 5'7". He's probably taller than that, but on screen he looks super small. Troy Watson had 13 carries, 73 yards. His longest was 13. On the San Antonio side, Kenneth Farrell couldn't get anything going. Trey Williams, he was actually at 7 carries, 75 yards. MJD kept saying on the broadcast that Trey Williams is trying to get that starting position from Kenneth Farrell, and I don't blame him. Every time he was out there, every time he touched the ball, he actually got some forward movement. So the Commanders, they got some work to do. That defense has been getting torched. They in the middle, on the outsides, it's just a wrap for them right now. San Diego, on the other hand, like I said last week, Mike Martz dumbed down that offense. He's known to be an offensive genius, having all these crazy plays in his offensive handbook. He dumbed it down. He allowed Phil Nelson to get a grasp of that offense and to slowly introducing more and more stuff. So now I do suspect that they're going to be playing at a higher level now, especially now that the West is kind of, as of right now, is a race. No, not even really a race. As of right now, the West is pretty stacked. So the Fleet are looking really good right now. They're in a 2-way tie with the Arizona Hotshots after Arizona Hotshots took the L against the Salt Lake Stallions. Salt Lake Stallions look really good. They just they started out the first 2 weeks, but they kicking it back on. If San Antonio is going to be competitive in this Western Division, they're going to have to get something moving on offense. Both quarterbacks really didn't do anything for him. Logan Woodside was taking his shots left and right. He just looked completely off his game. Marquise Williams is just a smaller version of Cam Newton, so he's going to take shots. You know he's going to run first, regardless. He's not going to pass the ball. When he does pass the ball, it's going to be short check down passes. He's not going to air it out. Well, he hasn't shown that he's going to air it out yet, but it's easy to play against him. You're just going to sneak up and just dare him to throw it. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see, because San Diego's actually going to go play Memphis Express. And like I was saying earlier, Memphis is slowly getting better. Memphis actually has a defense if their players are back healthy next week, which I assume they're going to be. Memphis can't stop that run game that the San Diego Fleet has. It's going to be a long night for them. And also the Express got a run game as well, so it's going to be legit. But San Antonio, they're going to have to do something. They got to play against Birmingham, and Birmingham's defense does not give up anything. So it's looking like another L for the San Antonio Commanders next week. Some quick notes that I took during all 4 games that I thought were pretty interesting was that the QBs that were replaced played pretty decently when called upon. So it's showing that these guys are actually taking good reps. It's showing that these guys who actually played in the NFL system before are actually pretty decent getting called up, like Mettenberger and Trevor Knight. I still think Aaron Murray should have played. That's besides the point. I don't know what the Atlanta coach is thinking, but eventually he's going to get on there. There's a lot of drop passes in this league still. There in the Atlanta Legends game, there was every time like it seemed like Sims actually was going to complete a pass, dudes were just dropping it left and right. So I can't give all the blame to him because there was a bunch of passes that they were clearly in the receiver's hands. They just dropped them. So they're going to have to be on the tennis machine all day long. In my opinion, the Bleacher Report broadcast was trash. That was the worst broadcast I've seen in a long time. The CBS ones, legit. The actual NFL Network ones are pretty good. I don't know what's going on the Bleacher. Like, it was something weird. I don't know if it was just my stream or what was on. It was actually on the Bleacher Report live website. The way that angle, it looked like it was off tilted, off kilter. Something was just weird about that broadcast. I did not like it. It just made me feel dizzy the way that Skycam was just whipping around the entire time. They need to take lessons from CBS and NFL and just get that joint back together. And my last point is time of possession means nothing if you're the Atlanta Legends. They had the ball the longest out of everybody and just couldn't score for nothing. And also one more thing. It turns out that miking up quarterbacks during the game is not really a good idea if you know for a fact that they're more brash, more outspoken. So it was a good thing that Hagenberg decided not to be mic'd up during that Legends game because you know he'd have dropped a whole bunch of stuff. I think Woodside, he was mic'd up. I want to say a couple other guys were mic'd up. You know, you can hear the hits the guys getting hit, but it wasn't too crazy. Another thing is, just like the beginning of this video, you hear like the commentators, but the hot mics, you know, they gotta get that under control. These guys, they're just giving ammunition to these people that's already hating on the league. So you can even hear during the games, like MJD's like, hey, I'm hearing the echoes in my headphones, and you just hear Marvin Lewis just talking trash during the games. I mean, we all do it, but your sound engineers got to be better than that, my guy. If YouTubers and, you know, these kids streaming video games can get it right, why can't a professional sports league get this thing right? So that's going to wrap it up for this recap for week 3 of the Alliance American Football. If you like this video, hit like, share, subscribe. Stay tuned on Wednesdays where I do like all the rumors for the Alliance American Football and the XFL. We got a lot of stuff coming out with the XFL with the new coaches coming out. Like they just talked about Pep Hamilton getting drafted, not drafted, but being picked as the coach and the GM for the DC team. And they're also saying there's going to be a lot more stuff coming out. So I'm gonna be covering that as well, and I'm thinking about covering the big 3 as well because I've been watching a lot of that, so that might be coming during the summer. But if you like that kind of stuff, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys next time.